back. I'm so glad you're here. I am Coach Julia, and today I'm super excited because I have a special guest with me. You might have seen her pop up on some of my social media and on a video here on this channel. This is my sister, Abigail. Thank you so much for coming.
Sure, of course.
So Abigail has years and years of skating experience in her background, but she's here today because she has a bachelor's degree in dance, and she is going to take us through some stretches. Now, what were we going to focus on today?
Today we're going to focus on splits in both directions, so the front splits and side splits.
Well, that's awesome because splits are super important for figure skaters. It's really important to have good flexibility through the back of those hamstrings. Think about your spirals, your camels, fan kicks. I mean, there's a whole number of moves that this is going to be really helpful for, and to just have that really healthy, limber back of your legs. All right, so I'm going to turn this over to you. I'm going to step off to the side and stretch along with you guys. All right, ready to get started?
Sounds good. Let's do it.
Awesome.
All right, so before you get started on any stretches, if you're doing this without working out or doing any exercising first, I definitely recommend you do a few jumping jacks, deep squats, something to get your blood flowing and your muscles a little bit warm. All right, so if you've got that already, let's get started. We're gonna start with a very wide stance, definitely wider than your hip width. So my hips are straight down here. You want your feet all the way out as far as you can to the side while being stable. We're gonna start with some bending of the knees. You can turn your heels out and bend that way. So we'll alternate. Heels forward and out. Okay, that's to warm up these hip muscles. All right, now we're gonna stay in this deep squat position. Hands on your knees, and you're gonna alternate, shifting your shoulders so that you can press that back knee out as far as you can. If you don't look quite the same as me in this position, that's okay. Just do as deep as you can. Then you're gonna alternate to the other side, pushing that back knee out and allowing your torso to twist. All right, from here, once you've done a few twists on each side, maybe 3 or 4, you can turn your heels back in, and we're gonna pike forward as low as you can go. You can put your hands on the floor or on your knees, whatever you need for support. All right, from here you can do little pulses to kind of deepen in the stretch. And every so often I like to bend my knees to give my hamstrings a break and then go back into it. All right, from here we're also going to start. Put your left foot behind your leg and grab your ankle. If you're up here, you can just grab your ankle and try and get your nose as close to your leg as you can. So if you're up here, just try and get your hands to your leg. If you're lower, try and get your your nose as close to your knee as you can. And then we'll switch sides. One more time. And back to the center before raising up. All right, so that'll be your first little flow section. After that, we're gonna turn. We'll start with our left foot. We'll turn facing one direction, and you're gonna reach over, leaving your feet in that wide position. Get as low as you can, nose to your knee. If you need to, you can brace yourself on your leg for support. Trying to keep your hips square to your front. So you don't want to be twisted like this. You want your hips square to the front, and you want to keep your pelvis forward. So you don't want to be here. That's all in your back. You want to keep your pelvis tilting forward. That'll get you a really nice stretch right here in your hamstring. So as far as you can, if you're here, you can get here or put your hands on the ground, getting your nose as close to your knee as you can. Okay, from here we'll go into our lunge. Just drop that back foot a little farther back, keeping the heel up. You want your knee to be directly over your toes. That'll give you a really solid foundation. and make sure that you're not hurting your knee too much. This leg should be as straight as you can, keeping that knee up. You don't want to bend your knee like this. Keep your knee up. This is going to stretch right here. So some of you may look like this a little bit higher. That's okay, whatever you need to keep that back leg straight and your knee directly over your front foot. Pressing your pelvis forward. Just like the last stretch, you want to make sure your hips are square and you're pressing your pelvis forward, not your chest. Ooh. Not your chest forward. Make sure you get your pelvis forward. Okay, and we're going to go back and forth a couple times. So we'll go back to this position. Readjust those hips. Make sure your pelvis is square. And then back to your lunge. And you want to be shooting that back heel out as far as you can to extend the stretch. Okay, and of course you're going to do that on both sides. So after you've gone into your lunge a couple times, you can come up to here and then switch your positions into your lunge and back. Do it both sides a couple of times, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so after you have tried both sides of the lunges and this kind of pie-shaped stretch, we're gonna go a little lower onto the ground. So we're gonna get into that lunge position, but this time you're gonna put your knee on the ground and you can flatten out your foot, okay? Again, just like the other ones, you want your hips to be straight in the direction, not twisted, and you're pressing your pelvis forward. Same thing as the other kind of lunge, only your knee is on the ground, so this will get you a little deeper in this hip flexor. You can kind of pulse if it hurts a little, just like this. And then we're gonna put our hands on the ground. For some of you, if this is too hard, you can stay up in this position, just hold it a little longer. If you can extend your foot a little and put your hands on the ground for a deeper stretch that also gets into this leg. Okay, and then we're gonna try also, if you put your hands on the ground, you can try twisting around as well. All right, from here, we're gonna give this hip flexor a little bit of a break. We're gonna pike back, keep your hips over your knee for this one, and flex your foot. You can try and hold on to it if you're capable of that. Otherwise, just brace yourself on that knee or on the ground. This should be a good stretch for this hamstring behind the knee here. All right, you can come back into this position, and we're gonna twist around and grab this foot. If you need to, you can lift up here to try and grab that foot. If you can, try and get your hand on the ground. Again, we're pushing that pelvis down to get the deepest stretch on the front of your hip flexor that you can. Okay, and we can go back into this hamstring stretch on the front to give our hip flexor a little break. All right, now we're gonna move into a deeper stretch here, so you can fold back over that back leg. Your leg on this side should be raised off the ground a little bit. And then you're going to keep this leg as straight as possible. Flex your foot. If you can't flex your foot, you can go ahead and let it point. That'll make it a little bit less strain behind your knee. But if you can, try and flex that foot for the deepest stretch. And then work your nose as close to your leg as possible. All right, you can shift back and forth between these positions a few times to give your hamstring a little break, give your hip flexor a little break. It's good to work through as many times as you need until you start to feel loose. And then you can try that whole 3 positions on the other side. All right, once we finished up that little section, we're gonna go right into those front splits. So you should feel really warmed up in your hips and hamstrings before you go into your splits. If you need to, just keep doing all of those exercises over and over until you feel pretty warm. What we're gonna do here is lower down, straighten that front leg, and we're gonna start with our back leg in kind of a triangle position here. So your front leg should be completely on the ground. Try and keep that leg straight, not bent like this. If you need to bend it, if you're not quite there yet, you can go ahead, but try your best to get your knee down. This leg can be as wide or tight as you need it, whatever helps you get into this position. From here, you're just gonna walk your hands down your leg as low as you can go. If you can grab your foot and pull it flexed towards you, that'll deepen the stretch a lot. And then from here, you can walk your hands out diagonally. So you're kind of midway between that foot and the trajectory of that knee. And you're gonna pull yourself as close as you can to the ground. If you're up here, that's fine. Do whatever is comfortable and stretches you. Okay, you can go back and forth a few times in both positions. And then we're gonna raise up, straighten that back knee, and you're gonna stretch your back leg out straight behind you, point your toes, and you're gonna try and push this hip down. Okay, so better not to be here. If you are here, that's okay, but you're gonna work on pushing that hip down so you're all the way flat into this position. Now you can stay here, or if you're a little more advanced, you can walk your hands to the front and way over your leg. And then if that gets comfortable for you, you can also walk your hands back, try and arch over that back leg so that you're really stretching out this hip flexor. Chest to the ceiling here if you're at this point. And of course you can go back and forth, whatever feels comfortable. Just work those muscles out so that they get used to this position and they start to loosen up. Okay, after you've done that a bit, you're gonna wanna shake out your legs because they are gonna be sore. You can pat them out, pat out that hamstring that's gonna be really tight and that hip flexor. Shake them out and then try the other side. So now that we've finished our front splits on both sides, we're gonna go into our middle splits. To start this, we're gonna start in this pike position. So this knee should be over your heel. This leg should be straight with their foot flexed. You might be up here, that's okay. Try and get low, but keeping your hips down. So you also don't want to be here. This is not the position we want. We want chest up, hips low, knee over our foot. This is gonna stretch underneath here and along the inside here. So we're gonna sit here for a little, and then you can use your hands to switch to the other side. You can also try and press this knee out to open up the inside of your legs here. Go back and forth a few times. And then we're gonna just sit right on down. All right, try and get your legs as wide as possible, whatever degree of the pizza you wanna be. As far out as you can get. Keep those knees up, pointing towards the ceiling, not turned in. If you can turn them out, that's great. Keep the feet flexed, and we're gonna start with reaching over one foot. The goal here is to get your nose as close to the knee as possible, keeping your back hip on the ground so you're twisting from the top. You may be any degree here, but just go ahead and put your hands on your leg or on the ground for support and go as slow as you can. Okay, next, we're gonna reach over. So you can put this hand on the ground here for support. Then I like to reach out all the way up to the ceiling to stretch your spine, and then all the way over. Goal is to keep this hip on the ground, and you're gonna get a really good stretch along your side here. Reach as close to your foot as you can. And then of course, the other side. Okay, from there you can kind of reach, pressing into the hips here as you reach. And then we're just gonna go out here. So you're gonna wanna walk your hands as far out as you can. Whatever level of degree you are, you just wanna get your chest as low to the ground as you can. This is what a lot of people call the pancake stretch. So if you can go totally flat, you look a little bit like a pancake. So that's your goal. Your goal is to get your face on the floor. Hopefully you have a clean floor. But wherever you are is okay. Just keep, like all the other stretches, you want to keep your pelvis tilting, not your back. That's a totally different stretch. So you want to be tilting your pelvis as far forward as you can go while keeping your feet as pointed towards the ceiling as you can keep them. Okay, from here, we're gonna walk our hands into a diagonal and then press down again, keeping that hip on the floor, keeping that pelvis tilting and not our back, and getting as low as we can. And then you can walk it all the way to your foot again. Then we're gonna go back the other way, walking our hands a little bit like a spider. So we're gonna stop at the diagonal, and then go to our foot. Okay. Spend as much time here as you want, and when you're ready, you can roll forward, bracing yourself on your arms. Wherever you are, however high you are, you're trying to get your chest low and your hips low. And then that's it. You roll out, shake out your legs, pat them out, and you've done a great job. Try again tomorrow.
Abigail, that was amazing. Thank you so much. That is such a great little sequence of stretches for those splits. Now, I do have a couple questions. How long should they be holding each position? Is there a kind of a guideline for that?
Yeah, when I'm stretching myself, I usually like to think about 30 seconds is a great length to hold the position. If it does start to get a little uncomfortable, you can definitely raise out of the position, move to a different one, and then come back to it. I generally like to try and get into the position for a total of 30 seconds. So I don't always stay in 30 seconds straight, but that's my goal.
So even if you have to take breaks, you want the full amount in each position to be 30 seconds.
That's ideal, yes.
Okay, and then if someone's trying to get their splits, how often should they go through this sequence?
You can definitely do it once a day. The more often you can go through it, the faster you're gonna get your splits. But sometimes people can get a little sore after doing a deep stretch like this, so you might want to take a day off, do it every other day.
Okay, so for me, probably every other day. I used to have the splits when I was younger, but I've got to be honest, I haven't been able to do the splits for a while, so I am going to have to practice this myself. So I'm super excited to have your tutorial. Thank you so much. If you guys enjoyed this, please do give us that thumbs up, and of course we always look forward to reading all those comments down in the section down below. If you haven't done so yet, then hit that subscribe button and the little notification bell down in the corner so you can see all my videos when they come out. Happy skating and stretching, and we'll see you next time.